Hey, this is Avi Gutman with another Ask Me Anything event brought to you by quantreasoning.com. I invite you to join me live next time. We do this every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern, and you can attend for free by starting your free trial at quantreasoning.com. What's the most important thing on the computer screen when it comes to sentence correction? Parth is right as well, right? What motivated the author to write the sentence? What drove the author to write the sentence? But my focus should be more on the non-underlined text. That's right. And the non-underlined text in this case is starting with an ing word, right? It's starting with responding. So why is that significant? It's significant because the sentence hasn't really started yet. If you're starting with an ing, because an ing could be a subject, like if I said driving is fun, well, driving is the subject. But when you're starting with responding to the public's fascination, blah blah blah, you need to get whoever it is that's doing the responding eventually, right after the comma, and that actually eliminates answer choice A, because a scale is not the thing that's doing the responding to the public's fascination. Now, JD is asking, are answer choices A and B both active or are they passive? And the way that I'm going to decide that is a subject-verb analysis. The subject in A is a scale, and I think some people might mistakenly think that the verb is developed, because developed can be a verb. But a scale doesn't have the ability to develop stuff, which means that developed is not the verb. What is developed instead? It's if you care to know the grammar term for it, that's called a past participle. That's what developed is. It's not the verb. So just for color coding, developed is a past participle. It's just describing the scale. Okay, but what did the scale do? Yeah, the scale rates. A scale can rate a likelihood, but the problem with this answer, as I said before, is that a scale is not the one doing the responding. And that's an important takeaway from this question. If you didn't already know this, this is a very important rule, and it will help you eliminate a lot of answer choices in the GMAT. When you're starting by describing something like responding to public's fascination, after the comma you need to have the person or the organization, whoever it was who did the responding, and a scale can't do the responding. Now, JD, you also asked about B. In B also the subject is a scale, so that also eliminates B for the same reason. But where's the verb? So it says a scale that astronomers have developed rates. So same as A. So passive versus active, if that was of interest to you, yes, these are both active voice. A scale rates.
Thank you.
Okay. And we eliminate both of them because the scale is not the one doing the responding. And just note how important that non-underlined piece of text was. That eliminated A and B. Okay, astronomers does make sense as the people doing the responding, okay? So what are the differences among C, D, and E? Well, they're all saying that astronomers have developed a scale. And I think that some people might mistakenly get here and say, oh, it's testing an idiom. And for some people that will cause panic, especially if English is not their first language. But we know that the GMAT isn't that interested in testing idioms, especially nowadays. Of course, this is an old question. When you go into the test center nowadays, you're very unlikely to have to choose based on an idiom. You could argue that the 2 versus 4 is an idiom. I'll accept that argument, but I won't accept the argument that the word that could be an idiom. What does the word that do when it comes after a noun? It describes that noun, it modifies that noun, exactly. The dog that bit me is vicious. So that bit me is just telling you which dog I'm talking about.
But it can't be introduce a subordinate, right?
Not
Subject
after a
verb.
noun, JD. It can come after a verb.
Oh, I see.
I
Okay.
know that Sam
Mm-hmm.
is taller than me.
Thank you.
But not after a noun. Yeah. Okay. So what is E saying? Let's start with E, just because we just talked about the word that. What is E saying exactly? It's saying that astronomers have developed a scale. What kind of scale? It's a scale that rates the likelihood of a particular asteroid. And then I have the that again after the comet, right? A particular asteroid or comet that may collide with Earth. So what does the scale rate exactly? It rates the likelihood. It's a scale that rates the likelihood of what? Of a particular asteroid or comet that, so now we're getting another that, describing the particular asteroid or comet, a particular asteroid or comet that may collide with Earth. Does anybody see anything wrong with this? I agree. And I wonder, just for my own curiosity, can you let me know in the chat whether what I typed here is helpful or not for answer choice E? I tried to build an analogous sentence. It's simpler just to see how we feel about it. So I tried to make it as analogous as possible to answer choice E. My issue with it is that the meaning is nonsensical. Right? Because what's the likelihood of a storm that may happen tomorrow? But I think it also relates to what JD was saying. Like, we ask about the likelihood that something will happen, some action. You need a clause. Whereas here, what are you actually asking? What's the likelihood of a storm that may happen tomorrow? What you meant to ask is, what's the likelihood that we'll have a storm tomorrow? To JD's point, you might say, what's the likelihood of a heads in a coin toss? But you wouldn't ask, what's the likelihood of a heads that may come up in a coin? Yeah, it's all wrong. That's just not how we use the word likelihood in the English language. What's the likelihood of a storm that would happen tomorrow? No, that's still wrong. It's wrong because of the roles of the different modifiers in this sentence. Okay, that you've got a prepositional phrase here describing the word likelihood, modifying the word likelihood. And then you have another noun modifier immediately after it describing the storm, right? You're saying, what kind of storm are we talking about? We're talking about the kind of storm that would happen tomorrow. But that's not a kind of storm. JD, I made a little change here to make it a little bit better. So instead of saying the likelihood of a storm that would happen tomorrow, what's the likelihood of a storm that would bring snow? That's much better. Because that would bring snow is a reasonable way to describe the type of storm that we're asking about the likelihood of. What about C versus D? I was thinking of a line from Dumb and Dumber. You know that movie? It's kind of old now with Jim Carrey. He goes up to a beautiful woman in the street and he says to her, "What are the chances that you will go out with me?" And she looks at him and she says, "Off the top of my head, 1 in a million." And he goes, "So you're saying there's a chance?" And he was really happy. It's a funny movie, but this is what this reminded me of. And I was just wondering, if you were to ask a girl, if you asked a girl out and you said, "How likely you will be to go out with me?" So I wrote a perfect analogy to answer choice C. Do you see that? How likely a particular asteroid or comet, so how likely you will be to go out with me, right? And to make it fair, right, because there's something before the word how, right? Developed a scale to rate how. So let me make it a little bit more fair to the answer choice. I would like to know how likely you will be to go out with me. That's a more fair analogy. I would like to know how likely you will be to go out with me. And my reaction to that is, how likely you will be when? Like next week? A year from now? How likely you will be to go out with me? What's the correct way to ask that?
Oh,
To go out with me.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the correct way to ask it. The will be is completely wrong. Now again, D also has will, but it changed something else that makes it okay. Let's build an analogy to answer choice D. What is the likelihood that you will go out with me? That's okay.
But isn't this also next year, tomorrow, next week?
So let's analyze the difference. How come this one is okay and C wasn't okay? What's the difference?
The tense, right? How likely you will be versus the likelihood that you will.
I mean, there are a few differences there, right? Likely is an adverb. Likelihood is a noun. Those are very different types of words, right? And here we're modifying that noun. Likelihood, I think I have a typo there, don't I? Yeah, I'm missing an E. The likelihood, what likelihood? What likelihood are we talking about? The likelihood that you will go out with me. What is it? What is the likelihood that you will go out with me? Versus, I would like to know how likely you will be. So what is an adverb to? This is an adverb to this verb. Will be.
Will be is the verb?
Will be is the verb. Likely is an adverb for that verb.
How likely you will be for that?
Now, unfortunately, I think this is the kind of case where people have an advantage if English is their first language, which is a bit unfair. I 100% agree with Victor that meaning can lead you to the correct answer here, even if you're not a native speaker. I still think native speakers have an advantage, but I agree with Victor that you still can get the right answer using meaning without being a native speaker. Now, I want to try to help Victor articulate what he was saying, because he's onto something. I think I hopefully can say it a little bit more clearly for you, JD. But I think what Victor is trying to say is the following. The thing that the word will, you see how I have the word will highlighted in green in C and in D? The thing that the word will refers to is not the same thing in C and in D. There's a difference between what the will is referring to in C and what the will is referring to in D. And what is that difference? Well, in C, it's saying how likely something will be to collide with Earth. So the will is referring to likely. In D, the will is not referring to likelihood. We're saying we're rating the likelihood that a particular thing will collide with Earth. So the will is not referring to likelihood, the will is referring to that particular asteroid or comet. Whereas in C, the will is talking about the likely. How likely will something be? How likely will something be to happen? That's what C is saying.
I think what you actually in D, I actually think it's the will maybe referring back to collide, because isn't that whereas I don't know if it's referring in D. I think the will is being forced to work with the word collide.
So C, how likely will something be to happen? D, the likelihood that something will happen. That's the difference.
So I just wanted to confirm, Ame, you're saying in C, the will refers to likely, whereas in D, the will refers to something. It's modifying something.
Yeah, that's the difference. Parth is correct. Both of these are fine, but they both require the present tense verb is. And why is that? Because we're assessing the likelihood now. We're not assessing the likelihood in the future. We're assessing the likelihood now of something that will happen or won't happen in the future, but the time at which we're assessing the likelihood is now.
I have to push back, Avi, because I don't see is in option D, unfortunately.
No, but D doesn't have likely. D has likelihood.
Oh,
likelihood is now. The current likelihood. Here, let me help. Does that help?
Yeah, so you're saying that the likelihood implies present tense. So it implies the noun.
Yeah, it's right now, because it's a noun. Likelihood is a noun. So the current likelihood right now that something will happen in the future. right? You're assessing the probability now. The probability refers to something that may or may not happen in the future, but the time at which you're making that assessment is right now, not in the future. If you found this video useful, go to quantreasoning.com for a lot more where that came from. You should also click that like button and let me know in the comments below what you'd like me to make future videos about. And of course, if you haven't yet subscribed, go ahead and do that and click that bell below so you get notified about future videos. See you next time.